And that takes us to Senator Kennedy of Louisiana.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Keyes, Professor Keyes, are you clairvoyant?
Thanks for the question, Senator. No, I'm not.
I'm not either. So when you make predictions, these are my words, not yours. When you make predictions that climate change is going to destroy homeownership and the insurance market and otherwise cause the earth to spin off its axis, those predictions are made on the basis of climate models, is that right?
In the complex and often contentious intersection of science, economics, and politics, few topics ignite as much debate as climate change. As the effects of global warming become increasingly visible through rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and shifts in long-standing weather patterns, policymakers, scientists, and industry leaders are grappling with how best to prepare for and mitigate its long-term impact. Among the most vulnerable sectors in this evolving landscape are the housing and insurance industries, which are directly affected by environmental risks and governmental responses to them. The U.S. Senate often serves as a national stage where these high-stakes discussions unfold, blending scientific testimony with political ideology. A vivid example of this dynamic occurred during a recent Senate committee hearing, where Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana questioned Dr. or Professor Keyes, an academic expert in housing, mortgage, and insurance markets. The hearing centered on the potential economic consequences of climate change, particularly how shifts in environmental risk are already influencing property values, insurance availability, and the stability of the mortgage market. Dr. Keyes had authored public commentary warning that climate change, through its effects on flood risks and natural disaster frequency, could undermine the foundations of homeownership and disrupt insurance markets.
The forward-looking forecasts are based on models. My discussion was retrospective and focused on the data we've collected over the last 5 years.
If those models are wrong, then your predictions would be impacted, wouldn't they?
Senator, I would say that the famous quote is that all models are wrong, but some are useful. And in this case, there's a preponderance of evidence that suggests the direction that climate's headed.
Methanethiol?
I'm not aware of that term, Senator.
I'm surprised. I've read a lot of your writings. You seem to fancy yourself as a climate expert.
Senator, I'm an expert on housing markets, mortgage markets, and insurance markets. I'm not a climate scientist.
If I told you that methanethiol is a sulfur-based aerosol gas, kind of smells like rotten cabbage, that is produced by microscopic plankton in all of our oceans, which cover 75% of the Earth's surface. Would you have reason to disagree with me?
I certainly wouldn't, Senator. I'm here to talk about insurance.
If I told you that this methanol is an aerosol, which escapes into our environment, it oxidizes and produces particles that substantially reflect the sun's radiation and heat and prevents climate change. Would you have a reason to disagree with me?
I wouldn't, Senator. I'm here to talk about the insurance crisis.
I know you don't want to talk about things that undermine your confident assertions, but this is the the Institute of Marine Sciences and the Cabrera Institute of Physical Chemistry just a few days ago published a startling study. It's being widely reported. And it found that while scientists and these climate change models on which you rely have always known about methanethiol, that now science has discovered ways to better measure it, and that it demonstrates that there's 25% more methanethiol being released into our atmosphere than any scientist ever thought. And that's going to have a huge impact on cooling the earth, and we're going to have to recalibrate all of our climate change models. I suggest you read it, Doc. I see this essay that you wrote in the New York Times, appropriate, New York Times. Climate change should make you think homeownership.
In response, Senator Kennedy, known for his sharp wit and skeptical stance on climate alarmism, launched into a pointed interrogation that veered beyond economics and into the scientific foundations upon which such economic predictions rest. His line of questioning sought not only to challenge the validity of the climate models that inform these forecasts, but also to question the political leanings and credibility of the witness himself. In the course of the exchange, Senator Kennedy introduced a scientific study related to a little-known atmospheric gas, methanol, possibly a misnomer for methanol or methanethiol, which he argued had not been fully accounted for in existing climate models. Citing new research that suggests this compound may have a cooling effect on the Earth's atmosphere, Kennedy implied that such findings could significantly alter the predictions made by climate models and, by extension, the economic assumptions that depend on them. The confrontation soon expanded into a critique of Dr. Key's past writings and alleged social media posts, with Senator Kennedy attempting to portray the professor as ideologically biased and politically extreme. Dr. Keyes, in turn, maintained that his work was grounded in data and expertise specific to the housing and insurance markets, distancing himself from climate science and partisan discourse. This exchange illustrates not only the challenges of translating scientific uncertainty into economic risk assessments, but also the degree to which climate discourse is entangled with political identity, public perception, and media narratives. It raises important questions about the role of expert testimony in legislative processes, the limits of model-based forecasting, and the credibility of those who issue public warnings about systemic risks. As the United States continues to wrestle with how to respond to climate change, the implications of such Senate hearings extend far beyond the walls of Congress. They shape public understanding, influence policy directions, and determine the degree to which science can inform the decisions that affect the lives and livelihoods of millions of Americans.
Did you write that?
Yes, I did, Senator.
It's pretty bold. You own a home?
I do, in a flood zone.
Have you sold it?
Have I sold my home?
Yeah.
I live in my home, sir.
Oh, well, you're telling everybody else to sell theirs. You're a climate extremist, aren't you, Professor?
Certainly not, Senator.
You are a political extremist, aren't you?
Certainly not, Senator.
On July 9th of 2024, did you tweet the following, quote, "Honestly, the biggest long-term political problem the Democrats have is that they don't know how to talk to low-information morons," close quote.
I don't believe those are my words, Senator. I'd have to be able to see them if you would share that with me.
Yeah, here it is, big as Dallas.
I don't believe those are my words, Senator.
You tweeted them.
I don't believe that I did.
Yes, you did.
I may have liked someone else's tweet or retweeted someone else's tweet.
You
Those
often
are not my words.
like tweets you don't agree with?
Those are not my words, Senator.
Yeah, but you tweeted them in approval, didn't you? You
Those are
can't
not-
make this cat walk backwards, Professor.
Those are
On
not
July
my,
16th,
those are not my words, Senator.
2024, did you tweet the following, quote, "A big part of modern right-wing culture is this frisson of the illicit. The reading of this or that writer or account that are outre in whatever ways, fascist, race IQ obsessives, Holocaust denial adjacent, people with very weird sexual fixations and pathologies they turn into their own philosophy, etc. A lot of them, and I think this is true of Vance, and definitely true of the creepy Silicon Valley MAGA weirdos, have simply pickled their brains," end quote.
Again, Senator, those are not my words, and I did not
Tweeted them,
tweet.
Professor.
I did not tweet that, sir. Those are not
Senator
my
Kennedy,
words.
I mean, let me make this last point. You've got
for
a
more
lot
than
of
2
nerve.
minutes over your time. We
You've
have
got
other
a lot of
senators
nerve,
waiting.
Professor, coming
You
here
always go over your time
and,
so that I have to call
and
it
lecturing
for
us
you.
about Holocaust denial
But
being
really-
from the University of Pennsylvania.
You have other senators who are waiting for their time, and you're well over yours.
Thank you for your indulgence, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Kane.